In the year 2025, India is celebrating its 78th independence anniversary. In another 22 years, by the year 2047, India will mark 100 years of independence, a full century since the tricolour first rose over a free nation. In these 78 years, India has transformed from a colonially drained economy to the fourth largest in the world today, with a nominal GDP of $4 trillion, overtaking Japan and standing only behind Germany, China, and the United States. But now, a bigger question stands before the nation. In just 22 years, can India climb higher than China and higher than the United States to become the largest economy in the world, or will it remain the eternal next big thing? First, let's understand why the United States still wears the crown. With a GDP of $30 trillion, America has been the world's largest economy for more than a century. It industrialized before most nations even began. It became the beating heart of global innovation. From the airplane to the microchip, from Silicon Valley to the space race, it also commands the world's reserve currency, the US dollar, and backs it with unmatched military power. Its infrastructure, institutions, and workforce productivity remains among the best. And perhaps most importantly, it continues to attract the world's finest minds, engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, many of them from India. Now, look at China, the number 2. With a GDP of $20 trillion, China's rise is one of the most remarkable transformations in human history. In just 4 decades, it shifted from poverty and isolation to become the world's factory. It built mega ports, high-speed railways, and entire cities in global record time. It mastered exports, supplying goods to every corner of the globe. But this miracle came at a cost. Millions left their villages for crowded factory towns. Families lived apart for years so breadwinners could earn in far-off cities. Workers endured long hours in difficult conditions. While rural communities transformed overnight, urban life was fast, competitive, and often unforgiving. Yet, through this collective endurance, China lifted over 800 million people out of extreme poverty, the largest poverty reduction in history. Today, China stands as an economic superpower but faces slowing growth and aging population, and the looming question of whether it has already reached peak China. So how can India leapfrog both giants? It will take nothing less than an economic revolution, almost a miracle, but it is not impossible. Imagine an India in 2047 where high-speed bullet trains connect every major city, where modern ports move goods at lightning speed, where manufacturing doesn't just mean software and IT services, but cutting-edge semiconductors, electric vehicles, aerospace, and defense technology, where every graduate enters a job market that matches global standards, where laws are simple, taxes are clear, contracts are enforced swiftly, and corruption is the exception, not the rule. Where a middle class already powering 70% of GDP through consumption becomes one of the biggest consumer markets on earth, where India leads not just in adopting technology but in creating it. From artificial intelligence to green hydrogen, from biotechnology to deep space exploration, where energy is clean, abundant, and independent, drawn from the sun, the wind, and the atom, where stock markets rival Wall Street in depth and reach, where Indian global supply chains become as robust and reliable like any other, and above all, where political stability and long-term vision survive beyond election cycles. If India achieves this vision, it won't just be an economic milestone, it would mean lifting hundreds of millions out of poverty, turning survival wages into middle-class incomes, and creating tens of millions of new jobs in industries that don't even exist yet. For a nation of 1.4 billion, the most populous on the planet, progress here would ripple far beyond its borders, reshaping global markets, stabilizing regions, and inspiring developing nations to follow its path. But ambition is one thing, the numbers tell the real story. Right now, India's nominal GDP is about $4 trillion. China stands at 20 trillion. The US at 30 trillion. India would need to average 10% nominal GDP growth for more than 2 decades, pushing its economy past 40 trillion US dollars by 2047. At the same time, China's growth would have to slow to around 2 to 3% nominal, and the US to 1.5 or 2% nominal. 20 years of 10% nominal GDP growth for India is not impossible, but it demands structural reforms, manufacturing dominance, a surge in technology leadership, and a fair share of geopolitical tailwinds. In the race to number one, every single percentage point matters. Becoming the world's largest economy by 2047 is not a dream, it's a race, and the clock is already ticking. If India delivers, then in 2047, as the nation celebrates a century of independence, the world will stand and say, India is number one. And if it doesn't, it will still carry the same title it's held for decades, the largest potential economy the world has ever seen. A title far less satisfying than the one at the top.